Okay, namaste and good morning. So let's start with the prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuvaswaha, Tatsavitra Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodaya. अस्तो मा सद्गम्या तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गम्या मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गम्या ओम सहना भवतु सहना भुनक्तु सवीर्यं करवावहि तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि ओम शांति 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 ओम. So Tuesdays we study BhajagovindaM. We just started this beautiful short scripture, but very sweet and full of devotion. And that's why we have decided that we have a great devotee over here who knows how to sing these verses also. So after a couple of verses, she will sing those two verses, and then I'll do, if there's a time for another one or two, and then she will sing those. Okay, so last week we started with the first one, and I gave you the meaning, literal meaning, and then we were going through the details of that. So it goes like bhajagovindaM, bhajagovindaM, Govindam bhajamuuDhamate, saMpraapte sannihite kaale, nahi rakshati DukRiJNkaraNe. He says, seek Govind or serve Govind or love Govind. Oh fool. Because if we are not doing it, then we are fools. Because what are we doing? We are seeking the dead objects outside. So he says, Bhaj Govind. When the appointed time comes, and that is called death. Grammar rules surely will not save you. So grammar rules, literal meaning is, yes, how the grammar rules are in every language. But over here also means all the attention which we pay to the worldly achievements, worldly things. That's a grammar rule. Okay. So all secular knowledge and possessions, all holding, accumulating, wasting time, that's all grammar rules. So he says you are a fool if you are doing it. This life has been given to us to Bhaj Govinda. The term Govinda indicates Lord Vishnu also, Narayan also. If you know Vishnu SahasraNama, twice Govind word is mentioned there. 33rd and 71st. And Shankaracharya ji, he explains this term 4 different ways. He says this is the highest reality, the Supreme Brahma. So he dissolves this word Govinda. First he says, he who finds or knows the earth, that is a Govinda. Meaning of that is, he is the substratum of it. Substratum from where all these worldly plays are coming from. He says that's Govinda. The second way he explains, he is the Lord of the cattle. Not only as the divine cowherd boy of Gokul, but he means over here that life-giving factor behind all animal passions. Very essence behind the living kingdom, that's Govinda. And somewhere else he says, he who converts speech. Because speech is such a powerful force we have. Through the medium of speech, we can convey knowledge. Through the medium of the speech, we can convey the emotions. Whether it's as a human being or even a dog barks, that is a speech for him. Or it could be a bray of a donkey. That's all speech. So he says the power behind all this speech is Govinda. And the fourth way he says, he who is known through the Vedic texts, the very supreme reality, which is indicated in all those great Mahavakyas, which we often talk about. So if you want to summarize all this, Govinda stands for the essence, the Atma, which is the truth behind the ever-changing flux of things. That constitute the universe of our experiences. Or you can say Govind is the Brahm of the Upanishads. He is the highest reality, the great God. See, we try to make anything small. That's our human mind. We just want to narrow it and narrow it and narrow it. But these great rishis, the great saints, they keep on expanding and expanding and expanding. Because normally when we talk about Govind, we just think about only one thing. But this great rishi says, this is the Brahma. This is the ultimate reality. This is the Atma. This is the Paramatma. Serve him, seek him, love him, pray to him. Or in other words, it also means seek your identity with Govinda. Go into that layers of your personality, which is Atma. Do not waste your time into this secular world. That's what the grammar he's saying. He says that will be very unprofitable at the end. Because while we are living, it seems like, sure, I know so much. I have such a strong and beautiful body. I have a big house. I have this and that. While you are living, but once the time comes, what good are those? That's where he is taking us, our mind to. That worldly possessions, these are temporary fame, passing joys, those are all grammar, according to him. Do not waste your time. Okay, so let's read it again one more time, because this is supposed to be repeated after each verse. This is such an important verse. Seek Govinda, seek Govinda, seek Govinda. 3 times he says, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj mUDhamate. Not just one time. To emphasize it, he is saying it again and again and again. He says, oh fool, when the appointed time comes, grammar rules surely will not save you. No bank account, no position, no big house, no large acquaintances, nothing gonna save us. We all know that. Okay, Bhaj Govinda. So now we are going to look at the second verse, and then I will ask Poonam to recite these two. Mood jahiihi dhanaagamatRishhNaaM kuru sadbuddhiM manasi vitRishhNaam yallabhase nijakarmopaattaM vittaM tena vinodaya chittam. And then after that, you are supposed to say Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. Okay, so mood. Again, he says, oh fool, Jahiihi, give up. dhanaagamatRishhNaaam, the thirst to possess wealth. So the key word over here is not the dhan, but the trishna, the thirst to possess wealth. Kuru, create. Sadbuddhi, thoughts of reality. Manasi, in your mind. vitRishhNaam, devoid of passion, clinging. Yat means whatever. Yallabhase, you get. It really means like a reward of the past. That's what yallabhase means. Prarabdha, that's what it means. Nijakarm, by your actions. VittaM, obtained. VittaM, the wealth. Tena means with that. Vinodaya, entertain. Chittam, your mind. So he says, O fool, give up the thirst to possess wealth. Create in your mind, devoid of passions, thoughts of the reality. So in other words, get rid of the passions, but create the thoughts of the reality. With whatever you get as a reward of the past, as a prarabdhakaram, entertain your mind. Be content. Be content. BhajagovindaM, bhajagovindaM. He is bringing our attention towards our extroverted mind, personality, or the mind, which just loves to wander away from the reality. Our mind loves to go into the finite experiences of joy. Our mind loves to seek his fulfillment in the world outside. That's called extroverted mind. Always going here, there, the temptations. Somebody says that place and we say, okay, all right, I'm going to be there. That's an extroverted mind. Desire for possessing, want to have more, acquiring, holding, and enjoying, like finding the enjoyment from the externals is the only motive force that takes out our equanimity. Otherwise, we are perfectly content in our inner world. But this lust and the greed just takes our mind into the outer realms. So he is bringing our attention that you get yourself involved in the sorrows of the sansar this way. Even though you are the inheritor of endless peace and perfection, but you stay unhappy because of this lust and the greed. And that's why he's using the word over here again, mood. Because a person who suffers from his own ignorance, because this is the ignorance, not knowing who you are. That is the ignorance, that is the agyan, that is the avidya. That's why he's calling us a fool, a mood. But then he says, give up, jahiihi, don't stay mood. We don't have to stay a mood. So Shankaracharya is hitting the nail on the head of the entire problem of the sorrows, actually. With this very simple looking, beautiful, poetic verse. And he's appealing to us, actually. See, this is the beauty of these great rishis. They're appealing to us. They say, give up the thirst to possess the wealth. So over here, remember the term wealth, dhanam, is to be, we need to understand it in the largest sense of the term. Because sometimes we think dhan is just the money. It includes all the worldly objects of possessions, which when we possess something, we just vainly feel temporarily satisfied. Oh, I got a new car. I got the best car. I got the best home. I got this or that. That's a vanity. That's where he is taking our mind away from. See, wealth itself is innocent. That's why I told you earlier that key word over here is not dhan, actually. The key word is Trishna. Wealth is innocent. So our Vedic philosophy is not against wealth. If you look at it, so many of our avatars, they took birth as princes in the big palaces. They became kings. They conquered. So wealth is not bad. Only the insatiable thirst, the Trishna, clinging to it, mind constantly just staying in the more and more of the wealth. He says, renounce that. That is needs to be given up. So just understand it properly, the relationship with these words. Because the objects outside are not to be condemned, but our relationship with them is to be intelligently. We have to work on it. Okay, so that's how we clean our mind. So cleansing of the mind is letting go of this constantly thinking about the worldly objects. So this mind which is supposed to think about God, because he said bhajagovindaM. But if it's thinking about dhan, then you are bhajo dhan, not Govinda. So with a passionless mind, vitRishhNaam, what do? We meditate on the reality. Because if a mind is withdrawn from its present preoccupations, what happens? It becomes empty. And in that emptiness, you can put God in there. It's just like in my room. If I need to establish that into a mandir, altar, what do? First, I get rid of the things, clean it. Then I established a beautiful altar. So right now, our mind is filled with the Trishna, the worldly possessions, worldly things. Any kind of a Ishna, whether it's a Putrishna, clinging to our relationships, or it could be Viteshna, clinging to our wealth, or even Lokeshna, clinging to our name and fame. All these Ishna actually he's talking about. He says, clean your mind of its lust for objects, greed for possessions, or hoarding for wealth, and apply the same mind in the fields of contemplation upon the real, the enduring, the eternal. This is what he is telling us. This is the sadhana we need to do. So the practical person of the world, at this advice of this great Acharya, will ask a question. If the possessions are not to be courted, if the wealth is not to be acquired, how are we to live? We need to pay our bills. We need to feed our body. We need a roof over our head. Because if the philosophy is impractical, our common sense will not obey it. It will not follow it. So no rishi of the Vedic time preached something impractical and impossible. So that's why Shankaracharya is also indicating to us, and his advice to us is live joyously, Because normally we think if we don't have the possessions, we'll be sorrowful, we'll be sad. He says, when you have a life like this, you will live joyously. How? In contentment and satisfaction. Where is it coming from? Whatever you are getting as a result of your actions. So he's not saying don't do your karam. Do your karam. Do whatever needs to be done. Do your duty. But whatever fruit you get, just accept it joyously. There is no limit to human imagination. Otherwise, we just want this, we want that. Desires keep on multiplying. The more we satisfy them, the more they grow. We have gone to this island, we want to go to 10 more islands. People are even saving money to go to Mars and the moon. Because desires, they keep on multiplying. The more the desires are satisfied, the more seems to be the hunger. And the deeper grows our unsatisfaction. And here goes our peace. When the peace goes away, what happens? It's a very tragic dissatisfaction. You can have everything, but you can still be very dissatisfied. The smile which we see in a common man's face, we don't see that kind of an innocent smile on a very rich person. I have worked in the corporate world. The cleaning crew, they can be whistling and singing and cleaning. And the head in the corporate world, always tense, always mad, always dissatisfied. So man seeks satisfaction in life, but wealth can purchase for us only sense gratification. Sure, temporarily there is some satisfaction, but that temporariness is because there's no other desire at that moment. So to discover a sense of contentment, he is advising us to live a life with whatever we get through our honest labor. Do not feed your greed, because you won't be able to find that true happiness. We have seen in this world these days, especially, a lot of information, lot of stories, lot of news. Desire for wealth degrades a person. Attachment to the wealth brings endless worries. There's a strain in acquiring it. There's a struggle to preserve it. And when we are struggling to preserve it, our intelligence is out of our mind then. We end up doing something very wrong also. So that's why they say there's a pain when we come to lose what we had acquired with our hard work. There's anxiety to preserve what we already gained. And this is a restlessness. This is a real game of restlessness. We have studied Kathopanishad, the young boy Nachiketa, in his answer to his teacher, Lord of Death, Yamrajji, beautifully expressed this idea. He said, Na vittaM tarpaniyo manushyaha. Man is never satisfied with his possessions alone. Alone. And we are studying Vivek Chudamani also. Over there, that's also written by Adi Shankaracharya. Very famous statement of the BridhAryanak Upanishad. He says, Amritavasya nashastihi vitaM tyave hishruti. This is verse number 7. The deathless and the imperishable can never be hoped to gain through possessions of wealth. And the same thing we studied in Ishavasya Upanishad. So the reason I'm mentioning all this because you have studied all this. Ishavasya Upanishad, very short Upanishad. What did the Rishi say? Renounce and enjoy. Covet not others' wealth. Tena tyaktena bhujintha ma gritha kasye swidhanam. That is verse number 1. Right in the beginning, he says, Gritha. Gritha means, you all know Hindi, Gritha, Geed. A vulture. Don't be a vulture. As a human being, we are on the path of becoming better. We are on a divine path. We don't want to degrade ourselves by coveting, with the lust, having a mind which is full of just, I want more of this, more of this, more of this. No. Content mind, work hard, whatever comes, be satisfied, be content with it. And in this mind, clean it from the thinking thoughts of the world, put the thoughts of God. That's what Govinda means, God. Okay, so we did 2. So at this point, Poonam will sing these 2. Then I will go through, if we have time, the verse number 3 also. Because I want you to, in your mind, because now you know the meaning of it. You know the deep meaning of it too, not just only a literal meaning. You should be able to understand. And now when she is singing, if you want to sing with it, fine. Otherwise, just try to absorb your mind into these words and feel what Shankaracharya. Think that you are sitting near the feet of this great Rishi. Then you will see that how this mind, which is full of worldly thoughts, will get cleansed very easily. Okay? Okay, Poonam. Thank you, Poonam. Jyoti, she cannot.
Now, got it.
Okay.
Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj mUDhamate, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj mUDhamate. saMpraapte sannihite kaale, saMpraapte sannihite kaale, nahi rakshati DukRiJNkaraNe, nahi rakshati DukRiJNkaraNe, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj mUDhamate. jahiihi dhanaagamatRishhNaam, jahiihi dhanaagamatRishhNaam, kuru sadbuddhiM manasi vitRishhNaam, jahiihi dhanaagamatRishhNaam, kuru sadbuddhiM manasi vitRishhNaam, yallabhase nijakarmopaattaM, yallabhase nijakarmopaattaM, vittaM tena vinodaya vittam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj mUDhamate.
Let's move on to number 3 now. Nari stan bhar nabhi desham drishtvaha ma agaha moh avesham etat mans vasa adi vikaram manasihi vichintya varam varam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. Nari. Nari is a maiden, a female, a woman. Satan bhar, with the weight of their bosom, the breast. Nabhi desham, their navel. Drishtva, having seen. Ma means do not. Agah, fall, prey. Moh avesham, maddening delusion. Avesh of moh. Etat this, mass, flesh. Vasa, fat. Adi, etc. Vikaram, a modification, a change. Manasihi, in the mind. Vichintya, think well. Varam, varam, again and again. Seeing the full bosom of a young lady and their navel, do not fall prey to maddening delusion. This is but a modification of flesh and fat. Think well in your mind again and again. So in the previous verse, he was advising us to give up all the greed for the wealth of the world. Here he is advising us to give up lusty passion. Okay, since it's written by a man, so that doesn't mean it's not written for the women. Okay, so it could be, we can understand it, passion for the physical body, whether it's a man to a woman or a woman to a man or any kind of a passion. We have seen in the Upanishads, these great rishis, they have been giving us warning, constant warning against wealth, which is called kanchan, and kamini, normally which is called women. So that's why they use the word kanchan and kamini. So it's not an insult to either. This is a statement of truth. All intelligent living creatures have these two irresistible urges to possess more. Person who has thousands want millions. Person who has millions want billions. So irresistible urge to have more wealth. And what do they want to have after wealth? They want to enjoy at the physical level, at the passion level. So that's why he used the word woman over here. All living organisms in the world move towards the sukha. They say saMpraapte. See, there are two terms, DukRiJNkaraNe and saMpraapte. DukRiJNkaraNe means escape the pain, and saMpraapte means attain happiness. And everybody thinks that by having more, I'll be more happy. So it is all to end all anxieties, sense of insecurity. We think that if we have more wealth, we'll be more secure. And more we have, more we'll enjoy. That's why they say the man runs after wealth. Man means man and a woman, both human being. We think that possessions are the barricades against our enemy, and enemy is a fear. Fear of lot of different kinds of fear we have. But over here, this great Rishi is telling us, instead of running after the wealth, find that peace which you already are. That is your nature. That's who you are. That is your essence. So don't build these imaginary fortresses around yourself with the money and the wealth. Okay, so that's why very beautifully he is using not just only the physical wealth in the previous verse, but over here, with the physical wealth, we think we're going to have all kinds of happiness in the relationships also. This urge of having more and more, which he called Trishna, we got to get rid of that. Irresistible enchantments of the flesh, that also we got to work on. So attraction towards the physical bodies. Because if we are running after these temporary, whether it's the money or whether it's the relationship, he says ultimate destination is sorrow. Because we will see that hand in hand. This natural urge to have more and more need to be controlled. We need to discipline our mind. We need to purify our mind. We need to sublimate our mind. That's what the sadhana is. An intelligent intellect alone can achieve this. That's why we need to do swadhyay. That's why we do the satsang. That's why we go to the gurus, so that there is some gyan is put into our buddhi. Animal cannot have it, because animals, they act according to their instincts or their impulses. But as human beings, we have an intellect which can take us to the higher places. That is the glory of a human life. Rational intellect, where we can curb the lower instincts, our impulses, or even carnal pleasures, and we can re-divert them and ultimately sublimate ourselves into the nobler and more divine pursuits. There's a little bit more I will talk about on this verse, but I want to end this class over here today so that we can have some discussion, and then somebody else wants to sing a bhajan, you can do that also. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. I see